For many of us, the idea of forgiveness might just be a concept. But Pam Rhodes has been meeting one Christian who was forced to consider it firsthand on the 7th of July, 2005.
I was in the tube train that was blown up, and it was an event that's become known as 7/7.
In the tragedy which killed 52 innocent people, the Reverend Nigel Bennett was on the tube train near King's Cross in which 26 of those victims died. Today, he's returning for the first time to 2 of the scenes of the attacks. How does it feel, Nigel, to be back here at King's Cross?
Well, it's much calmer than last time I was here in July 2005. There were emergency services everywhere. As I came up out of the tube, there were injured people and people covered from head to foot in smoke and dust.
Because just looking around us now, we live in communities today alongside people of different backgrounds and beliefs. How do we encourage peace and trust between neighbours?
I think as individuals, if we have peace with God, we can then build bridges and be reconcilers and peacemakers with those with whom we live, our neighbours, in families and in our communities.
Well, that day was 13 years ago now, and you're a preacher. You teach the gospel of love and forgiveness, but how can you, after what happened to you here?
It isn't easy to be able to forgive, and I can understand those who, through the experience of 7/7, find it difficult to forgive. But I think that if there is unforgiveness, it can actually lead to a worse prison for ourselves than if we're able to forgive. We can't forget, but I think we can forgive. I've come to value life even more, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to share the love of God with people through preaching ministry and through pastoral ministry. It's the first time I've seen this memorial. It's very moving, just to remember those who died on the bus, but also to remember all the others who lost their lives. Such a tragedy that people should feel that they want to get their ideology across by taking the lives of innocent men, women and children.
So in the face of acts of violence like this, what do you think God's will is for us?
I don't believe it's God's will that we should be violent towards one another. God sent his son Jesus to be the Prince of Peace, and I believe that the peace that God gives us enables us to reach out to others. And because God has been merciful to me, and I believe I must be merciful to others, and in an ideal world we would have that same mercy towards those who would do us wrong.
Peacemaking can take many different forms, but it can be risky too. One man who's put his life on the line is Canon Andrew White, known as the Vicar of Baghdad. Andrew earned that title through over 20 years of tireless efforts to heal the major rifts between faiths in the Middle East. Despite continuously putting his life at risk and having multiple sclerosis, his unwavering Christian faith has kept him going.
I have never lost hope because my hope is built on nothing less than on the blood of Christ and his righteousness.
At the height of the conflict in Iraq, one of Andrew's most extraordinary missions was deemed by many to be impossible: to bring together faith leaders from Iraq, Israel and Palestine.
I couldn't bring Israelis to Iraq, couldn't bring Iraqis to Israel, so we met in Cyprus, in Paphos. One of the chief rabbis said to me after 3 days, he said, "Fear is cancelled." One of the Ayatollahs said, "I've been together for 3 days with what I thought were the evil Zionists from Israel. And I looked into your eyes and I heard your story and I realized you weren't a stranger. You were my friend."
Andrew no longer lives in Iraq, but spends his time between the Middle East and the UK on peace missions and speaking to church groups about his profound experiences.
Or Jesus, light of the world. And people often say to me, "Well, who is your enemy?" And I say, it is a person whose story you have not heard. So a vital part of my work has been enabling people to hear the story of the others. But this is not me talking about some strange, far-flung people. This is me talking about your family. We are one, suffering together, and we can only bring wholeness, healing, restoration, peace, power, protection, and provision if we work together. There is no concept of dealing with the reality of suffering unless you know the reality of the cross of Christ. The cross is what gives us life, hope, resurrection, and forgiveness.